head then, and I've just pulled a couple more vertices into position just to give this a little bit more of a shape that I wanted. Now there's other little parts that I can continue to move into position, and I'll do that as I'm progressing forward and the character is taking a little bit more shape. But right now I'm going to be happy to just progress forward. The other thing you can do, if I tab back to object mode, I can right click on this and shade it smooth, and that gives you a better indication of the kind of shape you're starting to see. So I'd recommend definitely having a look at that. Okay, so let's tab back into edit mode and let's continue along. So I'm going to alt select the entire bottom edge here. I'm going to press 1 and let's just start extruding down this body. So I'm going to pan these over here and press E to extrude. And I can just maybe drag this down a little bit, maybe scale it in. From the front view, I can press X and just restrict it to the X axis. And again, like I said, I'm going to follow the profile on this side here. Now in the side view, I'll press S and Y and just scale this back a little bit. Maybe press G and Y and just drag this maybe back. And I can maybe just press G and Z and just drag it up so it actually meets the profile. And I could select maybe this vertex here, press G, drag this to match up there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And I can maybe alt select this again, press E to extrude this down, maybe restrict it to the Z axis for the moment, drag it down to here. In the front view, I'm going to scale this on the X, so S and X. And over here, I'll press G and drag this back. So I can press S and Y and just scale it. And press G, drag that over, and just line that up there as best I can. And over here I can press S and X just to scale that in. Now there's a nice bit of a gap here, so what I might do is select this vertex, press G, and drag this back. Maybe select these ones, double tap G and just edge slide those back a bit, just to kind of maintain that edge flow along here. I might just select this and press G, drag it over here, and just spend a bit of time until I'm happy. Okay, I'm going to alt select then the next set of edge loops. And what I want to do actually is to reduce the number of vertices before I extrude any further. So I'm going to combine some of these. So let's take a look at doing that. So the first thing I might do is select maybe this edge here, shift select this one, alt M, and I'm going to merge at last. So that merges into the center there. And I can rotate around here. And I'm going to leave this one as a single vertex. And I'll select these three here. Alt M, and I'll just merge it to the last one I select. Okay, and I'll just work my way around here and maybe select these two and maybe this one here. So maybe I'll select this one first, this one and this one. Alt M, merge at last, and select this and this. Alt M and merge at last. So now if I look at my mesh and I begin to count these vertices, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as I get to here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking to do, just reduce the number of vertices. And if I alt select this, I'm going to select all the vertices on the bottom edge here again, press 1 for front view, maybe zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to press E and extrude, and just extrude this maybe down to approximately here. Just drag it out slightly so it matches the outline, left click. Over here in the side view, I can press S and Y and just scale this up, press G and maybe just drag it to match that outline. Scale it into Y then a little bit just to get that in position. Okay, and back over here then, I can zoom out a little bit. I can press E, drag this down, maybe approximately here. I can left click. Over in the side view, I can press S and Y and scale this out. Maybe here, press G and just drag it to match that outline there. Maybe alt select this here, maybe scale it into Y a little bit, and maybe press G and just drag it back there and match that outline a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to alt select this again. I'll press E, extrude this down here, maybe to approximately the bottom section of the arm, maybe somewhere like this, left click, and in the side view, I can scale it into Y a little bit just to match that outline. And I can work back along. Every time I extrude, it changes slightly, so I need to scale this up a little bit more and left click. And finally over here then, I can extrude. Maybe I'll come to approximately here, and then I can extrude one more time to the waist and just try and match that outline and left click there. Okay, so that wouldn't be too bad in the front. Let's have a look in the side. I can maybe scale it into Y a little bit, just keep this consistent. I can also maybe flatten these on the Z to 0. So I'll press S Z and 0 and press enter just to confirm that, and I'll just drag this back up here, maybe scale it on the Y. Okay, that wouldn't be too bad. I'm going to alt select this, scale this in a little bit on the Y, press G, drag it over here. Okay, and left click. I'll be pretty happy with that. I'm going to press 3 for face select, and I'm going to select all these 4 faces here and press X and choose faces. The next thing I want to do is extrude from this area. So I'll press 1 for vertex selection. I can alt select this entire edge here, press 1, and maybe zoom out a little bit, and I'll press E to extrude. Just drag it out a little bit. I can rotate this, so press R and maybe scale it down a little bit. What I'd like to do is just match it up with the outline there. So maybe approximately this position here. Press and hold the middle mouse button to come around, and I can zoom in a little bit. Now, just to begin this kind of evenly, what I'm going to do with these selected, I can right click, and under the loop tools menu here, I can choose the circle option. What that does, it just forms a circle from the selected vertices, and it's a good starting point so we don't have too much distortion in the mesh as we begin to extrude across. So I'll press 1 again. I can press G and just drag this down, maybe scale it up a little bit. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a circle. We can modify this as we're working along, but right now I'm going to just leave it at that shape. So again, I can press E, extrude this across maybe somewhere like this, scale it down, and as I do that, you can see that this changes shape a little bit, and it also changes position. So I can alt select it. I'm going to press Z and bring up wireframe, and maybe just scale it down a little bit, and left click, press G and just drag it up to match that a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to press 7 for top view, and top view is a little bit different, so we have a little bit of a different width on that. I'm just going to drag this forward a little bit, so something like that. I can also maybe in a moment scale up this section here, but right now I'm just going to focus on the arm. So I'll alt select this, press G, drag it back to what I've marked as the elbow joint here. I can press R just to line that up a little bit, press G, okay, something like that, and I'll press E again, extrude over to approximately the wrist, and rotate there. Maybe press G, and I can press S and scale that down. Okay, I'm going to come back here, alt select that and scale it up a little bit, and maybe just restrict that to the Y-axis because I know it's right on the Z. So I'll press 1 for front view, rotate around here, pan over, alt select and shift select all the vertices here, and I can press 7 again, and maybe scale this out then on the Y and just fill up to the outline there. Press G, drag it forward. I can alt select this here and maybe scale it on the Y a little bit just to reduce that. Can also alt select this, scale this on the Y, left click, press G, just drag that in, match the outline, and I can pan over. That's not too bad there. Pretty happy. I'm going to press 1 now, just come back into front view, maybe select this here, and I can scale it in the Z just to match the wrist there, and I can just press G and just drag it up approximately into position. Okay, I'm going to press Z and come back to solid. Okay, that would be a good start to the upper body shape. I'd be pretty happy with that. I would definitely spend the time and just make sure you're happy with the proportions of the character. I'm going to press 7 again. And what I was hoping to have here is a little bit of a bend from the elbow out to the wrist. So when we're creating the IK for the arm, what we want to do is have the bone come straight out to here and then come back at an angle to the wrist. And that way it just tells the IK solver what way the bone wants to rotate. Okay, so I'd be pretty happy with how this is looking right now. And I'm going to leave it there for this view here. I'll press numpad 1, just come into a front view, and over here I'll press 7 for top view and maybe just zoom in, pan this over. I can also pan this one over, maybe zoom in. So with this edge ring selected, you can press Alt and left click. I'll press Shift S and choose cursor to selected, and I'll press Shift A. What I want to do is add in a circle. So I'll choose circle from the menu here. That comes in quite large. Down here on the options, I'm going to change the vertices to 8. I can press enter. I can click in the radius and drag this and just reduce it in size to something around that size there. That's going to be fine. I can minimize this now. And what I want to do over here in the front view is rotate this 90. So I'll press R90, press enter. And in the top view, I'll press G and just drag this across here. And I can maybe scale it down a little bit. So I'll just press S and scale this down, something like that. Press G. And I can press R to rotate it. I can line this up, and this is going to form the first finger here. So I'll press G, maybe drag it into position, something like that. And I'll press E and extrude this forward and left click. So I'll zoom in over here. And the first thing I want to do is add in an edge loop. So I'll press Ctrl R to add one here, left click, and maybe just drag this forward here. And I can just maybe place it there. I'll press 3 for face. I'll press Z and bring up solid shading. And I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. The next thing I want to do is fill in the front of this. So I'm going to press and hold the middle mouse button and just come around here. I'll select these two vertices here and press the F key to create an edge between them. I'll right click then and choose the subdivide command, and that places a vertex in the center. And now I can select these four here and press F to fill in a face here. I can do the same thing for the rest of these. I'll select these four here, fill in a face, select the next four, repeat the process, and finally I can maybe alt select this actually and press F, and that just fills in the end of our circle. So I'll press 3, select these two faces. I might just press 7 again for top view, and I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to alt select this here and just double tap G to edge slide this back a little bit, maybe something like this. I'll press 3 for face, select these two faces. Now I'm going to come over to the modifiers tab and just switch off the visibility of this subdivision surface modifier for a moment. I'll press I to inset these a little bit and maybe zoom in over here. I can press G and Z, just drag this up a little bit and extrude. I can then select maybe these two front faces on this. And over here I can press E and maybe just drag these forward slightly. Let's take a look then if we switch back on the modifier, how that's looking. Looks pretty good. Just rotate around here. I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. Might just select these two vertices here, press G and just drag these down. Maybe press Z and restrict it to the Z axis. And just drag that away slightly. I can do the same thing here with these two. And maybe rotate around. Select these two vertices and just press G and Z and drag those down. Okay, I'll also select the two front ones. And over here I can press G and just drag this out. And just help round that a little bit. Okay, so that's all I'm going to really do with that section of the finger. And the important thing is to add some edge loops in here for the rotation of the joint. Now what I might do is come back into wireframe, so press Z. Just press Alt A just to deselect anything. I'll press and hold Control, lasso select all of this here. Press G, maybe just drag it forward a little bit. Something like that. I'm going to press Ctrl R now to add in an edge loop that's going to form the knuckle joint, so approximately here. I'll also add one each side of it just to give that a little bit of flexibility here. So Ctrl R a couple of times and place that approximately here for the moment. Double tap G, just drag this forward. I'll select this one, double tap G, drag that one back. I also want to put in an edge loop here, so Ctrl R. I can maybe drag this one forward a little bit, and I'll place one each side of this vertex here. Maybe Alt select that, just double tap G to come forward. I'm going to press Z and come back to solid. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Okay, so over in this view, I'll press numpad 1 just to come into a front view. Now I'm not going to follow the curvature of the hand. I'm going to keep them relatively flat, and that just makes life a little bit easier when we go to rig these. So back over here then, I'll hover the mouse on this and press L and just zoom out. I'll press Shift D to make a copy and just drag this over here. And I can rotate it. Maybe press G and maybe drag this out a little bit further. Also scale this down a little bit. Something like that. Maybe drag it forward. Alt A. I'll actually hover the mouse on this one again. And this one is a little bit large, so I will scale this down a little bit more. Maybe something like that. I can select it. I can also rotate it to fit it a little bit better. And then I can maybe come back into a wireframe view. Alt A. I'll lasso select maybe all of these up to here. I'll press T to bring up the tool menu and switch on the move manipulator. Up here I can press and hold the middle mouse button, drag this across, switch from global to normal, and that just lets me grab this and drag it straight back in relation to the rest of these. Something like this. Alt A now to deselect. I can do the same thing here. I can lasso select maybe all of these. And I can press G and maybe just drag this back here. Left click. I'm going to switch back to global, come back to my select and press T just to hide that. Now I can adjust these edge loops also. So I'll drag this forward a little bit. Maybe something like that. And repeat the process with these ones. Just alt select them and drag them forward. I can also maybe drag these ones back from the front of the finger a small bit. Just position them a little bit better. So reference images would be useful right now just to get the position of these. You can also use your own hand. So I'll select these, double tap G and just edge slide these back a little bit to give that a little bit more space. I can also maybe alt select this here and scale it up. I'll press Alt A to deselect. I can hover the mouse on this one, press L, press Shift D, drag this over. I can rotate it a little bit, scale it down. Maybe rotate it a little bit more, press G, drag that back there. Left click, maybe scale it down a little bit more. Press G, drag that forward. Again, I'll press Shift D. I can rotate that and I can also scale this down. Press G, drag that back a little bit and just position it. Maybe scale it a little bit more. And press G. Okay, so that's the pinky in position. You can also maybe alt select the ends of these and scale them up a little bit. Maybe I could double tap G and just drag this forward a little bit and scale it up. So back over here, I'll press Alt A, hover the mouse on this, press L, maybe pan this across here. Press Shift D, drag this over here, left click, and I can maybe rotate. Can also scale this up. Press G, drag that. Maybe rotate it a little bit more. And drag it into position. Press Alt A, and then I can lasso select some of these. Resize this a little bit. I can maybe drag this forward. Alt select this edge loop here, maybe double tap that forward. And repeat the process with these guys. Just reposition this to suit what the thumb might be like. Same thing with these ones. And I'll alt select this, press G. Maybe rotate it a little bit. Drag that over here. Alt select maybe this here. Press X for the moment and I can just delete the edge loop. Get rid of that one. I'll alt select the next one. Repeat the process. And finally I'll repeat the process with this one and get rid of those. I can alt select this then and scale it up. Maybe rotate it and just drag it into position here. I'll alt select this here. Maybe double tap G. And then just drag it over, scale it up a little bit. Alt select the next one, double tap G to come back. Maybe scale this out. And with that then, I'm going to press Z over here and come back to solid. Be pretty happy with that. The basic shapes are in. So let's take a look then at combining these together. So I'll zoom in over here. Select this first vertex, shift select this one, press Alt M for the merge menu and choose at center. Just connect those up. And I'll repeat the process for these vertices on the bottom. I'll select them, shift R to repeat the last operation. And I'll repeat the process then for all of these right the way across here. Okay, and with those four done then, I can alt select this entire edge ring. I'll press 7 for top view, and I can press E to extrude this forward. maybe just drag it to here. I can maybe scale it on the Y a little bit, something like this, and left click. Okay, so that's the beginning of the hand in position. Before we move forward, I'm actually going to just alt select and shift select all of these and maybe just drag them forward a little bit and maybe just reposition that up here. I can do the same thing for these, maybe select them and let's just drag them forward. Just have them looking correct on the eye. Okay, so back over here then, the first thing I'm going to do is just rotate around. And before I extrude this back, I'd like to just correct the position of these vertices a little bit. As you can see, they're up and down a little bit. So I'll select each of these and just maybe press G and Z and just drag them up and form kind of a nicer curve on this. So I can press G and Z for all of these. Maybe these ones here I can drag down. Okay, that wouldn't look too bad. The next thing I want to do, if I zoom out here a little bit, is as we extrude back with this hand, we want the same number of vertices on this edge as we have here. So currently we have 8 vertices on this here. Now what I might do is add in a couple of extra ones. So I'm just going to maybe rotate around to the back here and I'll add in an edge loop across here. So I'll press Ctrl R, drop one in here and left click. And around at the front, I can do the same thing. Maybe add one in here. So Ctrl R, hover the mouse here, left click and right click just to place that there. So that just gives me 2 extra vertices on this. So rather than reducing the hand to 8, we only now have to reduce it to 10. So I'll just zoom in to the hand here. We can take a look then at combining some of these. I'm going to hold the ends as best I can because that's where the curve is, and if you reduce it too much here, it's going to stretch and it won't look good. So I'll begin with these ones here. With this one selected, I can shift select these 3 here, press Alt M and merge these at the center. I can then select maybe these ones here, press Alt M and merge at center. I can repeat the process underneath here, Alt M and merge these at center. Do the same thing here, select the 3 of these, Alt M, merge at center. This one here, I can select, shift select this one, Alt M, I can merge that at the last one. And I'll repeat the process for these 2, Alt M, merge that at last. So now if I count off the vertices, I have 4 in the center and 3 each side, which gives me 6. So that's what I need then to extrude back. So I can alt select this here. I'll press 7 for top view, maybe zoom out a little bit, and I can extrude. So I'll extrude back to maybe the beginning of the thumb here. Maybe scale this on the Y a little bit. Press G, just drag that over. And I can extrude again. Maybe halfway down the length of the thumb there, I can scale that in on the Y. Press G, drag that over. And extrude again. Back to here approximately. Again, I'll press S and Y, scale that down a little bit. And drag it over. And press E again, just to drag this forward here. And left click. So the next thing to do then is to combine these vertices with the arm. So if I select that vert there, I can press and hold the middle mouse button just to come around. And maybe shift select this one here. I'll press Alt M then and choose at last. So I'll merge all the hand vertices backwards. So I can actually repeat the last operation. I'll select this one, shift select this and just press Shift R, and that repeats the merge to last. And I'll repeat the process then with these ones right the way around here. Okay, and with that done, I can see that there's an issue with the shading. So I'll come up here to the overlays tab, which is this one here, come down and switch on face orientation. And we can see that there's a difference between the hand color and the rest of the body. So the red color indicates the back of a face, whereas the blue indicates the front. So what we need to do is just recalculate these and have them reversed. So I'll press A to select it all. I can press Shift N to recalculate. You can also come up here, if I just press and hold, drag this back, come up to mesh, come down to normals, and you can recalculate outside. So that's what we've done here, Shift N. You can also recalculate the inside, and you have the option here to flip. So if I wanted to flip these, I can select flip, that will reverse all the faces. So all selected faces will be reversed. So let's come back up and just flip those back. So I'll come to normals and just flip those. I'll also come back up here, just pan this across and switch back off face orientation. Okay, so let's take a look then at connecting the thumb up for a moment. I'm going to rotate back around here. I'll press 3 for face select, and I can select these 4 faces here that are in front of my thumb. Oh, not those two, actually these 2 here and these 2 underneath here. So these 4 faces here, I'll press X and just choose faces. I'll press 1 then for vertex selection. And what I can do is select the vertices on the thumb, shift select the ones on the hand, and then just Alt M and merge that at the last one. And now I can just repeat that operation. So I'll select the thumb, shift select the hand vertex and shift R to repeat that last operation. And I'll repeat the process right the way around here. Okay, and when that's done, I'm going to come around and select some of the vertices on this hand, then press G, Z, just drag them and kind of help form the hand into a better shape. It's a little bit flat looking right now. So I can just select some of these. I'll press 7 for top view. I'll press Z maybe for wireframe. And Alt A. I can then just maybe lasso select some of these vertices here. Press G, drag them in. Alt A, lasso select these here, press G, and just work around and correct any issues that I have, and also try and improve the shape of the hand a little bit more. It's a little bit flat in the different areas, so I'll just work around and I'll try and improve the look of the hand. Let's move forward. I'm going to zoom out over here and just zoom into the body. Over here I can maybe come over, press 3, zoom out. The next thing I'd like to do is extrude down the bottom section of the body, and to do that I'm going to need a couple of extra vertices here. So if I, for example, press Ctrl R, add in an edge loop, I'm going to end up adding in vertices right up to the character's head, and I'd rather avoid having too many vertices up there. So I'd have to add one at the front, I'd also have to add one at the back, which would actually run right the way around the top of the head. And it makes modifying the mesh very difficult. The more vertices you have, it gets a little bit too complex. So I'll just right click to cancel that. What we can do is add in an edge loop here and run that down to the bottom section here. So what I'm going to do is Ctrl R over here, left click, I can right click. And down here then I can select these 2 vertices on the front. I can press and hold the middle mouse button just to make sure I have those ones selected. I'm going to right click and choose subdivide. So now I can select this vertex here and run it up to maybe this one here. So with this one selected, I can press and hold shift, select this and press J to join them. Now what that does, it creates a try here. So we just need to remove this. And to do that, I can select these 2 vertices here, right click and subdivide that. Select this then. Shift select this one here, which will run through the try and split that in half. So I'll press J with those 2 selected. I'll press 3 for face select. Select the first try, and we want to avoid having tries in our mesh, and they are just 3-sided polygons, and I prefer just to avoid them. So with this one selected, I can shift select this and just press F to create a face out of those. And now we have a 4-sided polygon. I'm going to press and hold the middle mouse button and just come around to the back, and I'm going to repeat the process here. So I'll press 1 for vertex selection. I can shift select these here, right click and subdivide that. I'll select this vert here, shift select this, press J to join those. And again, what I want to do is run through this try here. So I'll select these 2 here, right click, subdivide that. Select the vertices, shift select this one at the back here. Press J to join them. Press 3 then for face select, and I can select these 2 faces, press F, and that removes then the try. Okay, so I'll press 1 to come back to vertex selection. I can select maybe this here, double tap G, drag it over a little bit. Do the same thing here, select some of these and just drag them in a little bit more. Okay, and I can rotate around to the front. I can maybe do the same thing here, select this, double tap G, repeat the process with some of these. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to select this here, zoom in, press G and Y and drag that back. And I'm going to extrude these three down. So I'll select these vertices on the front, and I can also select them on the back. Press 1 then for front view. And over here in the side view, I can pan this over. I'll press E to extrude and extrude this down. Left click, and over here I can press G and X and just make these a little bit smaller. And left click. I'll also maybe alt select this here, press G and Z, just drag it down a slight bit. Okay, so I'm going to connect up the front and the back. I guess first if I select these three vertices on the front here, so if I press and hold the middle mouse button, I'll select these three verts here, and in the side view I'll press G and Y and just drag that in there. Same thing, select the back vertices, press G, Y, drag those in. Back here I'll just press numpad 1, press C for circle select, and select all those verts there, press G, Z, just drag this down to match the outline here. And what I'm going to do is connect these up. So with these selected, I'll press F to make a face, and I can maybe select these vertices then and just modify them a little bit, select all of them, make sure I have them all selected, maybe press C to circle select, and over here I can maybe press GX and just drag them in a little bit closer, and maybe press GZ, drag them right to the minimum there. Okay, I'll alt select this here, press E to extrude, drag this down to maybe here. I'll also press S, Z and 0 to scale it on the Z axis, press G, Z, just drag it down a little bit like this, and maybe scale it in, something like this, and I can left click, maybe pan this up a little bit and press E again. This time I'll come down to approximately the knees and scale these in. And in the side view I can press G and just drag this back a little bit, maybe back up. And I'll zoom out and extrude again. Come right down to the ankles, left click, and over here in the side view I can press G, drag that back. And over in the front view, I'll press S and scale this down. Now I can also press Z and come into wireframe, zoom in, maybe scale that down a little bit more, left click and press G, maybe drag it back up and just position that there. That would be pretty good. Press Z and come back to solid. Okay, that looks pretty good. I have a little bit of vertice pulling to get done. I'm going to select some of these, maybe just drag them in the Y a little bit, just release some of that tension there. Okay, it's not looking too bad right now. Maybe select these and right click, come up to loop tools and choose circle, and that just gives that a circle shape to begin with. I can also come down the bottom here, I'll alt select this here and create a circle from these. I'll also do that up here. I'll alt select this here, right click and circle. Now sometimes what happens is that mirror modifier gets affected, so I'm going to switch it off for a minute. Press 1. I can scale this down a little bit. I can also press G, just drag this over, scale it a little bit more. Okay, and then switch this back on, and it doesn't get affected then by the modifier. And I can also maybe select these, scale them back down a little bit. Select this here, scale that in approximately to the outline. Okay, so that's really the beginning of the character's legs. I'm going to go around and just shape it a little bit more. Now in the side view actually I can just maybe drag this forward. S and Y. For the bottom of his leg, I'm going to keep it as it is there. Now I'm going to go around and just maybe drag a couple more vertices into position, give the character a little bit of a better body shape in general. This one, I'm going to just pan this up, maybe zoom in, and I can also select this section here. I might just come over here in the side view, press 3 and zoom in. I might just press S and Y and scale it up a slight bit on the Y axis there. I'll press Shift D just to make a copy of these, maybe press Z, just drag them down, left click. And over here, I'm just going to press and hold the middle mouse button just to come around so I can see this. Over here, I'll press E, press Z and just maybe drag that down, maybe approximately here. I can scale this up then. I can press S and just scale this up a little bit. I'm going to press Z and come into a wireframe view. Alt A just to deselect. I might just lasso select all of this stuff here and press G, press Y just to restrict it to the Y axis, and I can left click. I might just alt select this here, press G, Z, just drag this back up. Don't have such a stretch on it. Press Alt A. I can lasso select this stuff here, press G, Y, just drag that forward just to match that outline there. So again, if I alt select this here, I can press E, maybe press G and Z and just drag this right down here to maybe approximately here. Press Alt A. I'm going to lasso select this here, press G and Y, drag these back here, and I can press Alt A. I'm going to press Z then and bring up solid. Press Tree and maybe select these two front faces here and press X and just delete those faces. And over here in this view, I'll press numpad 1 just to come into a front view. I can zoom out and just bring this into view here. I'll press 1 for vertex selection. Alt select this here. I can press G and X and just drag this over just to center that up a little bit, maybe somewhere like this. And I can left click and I can press S and X and just scale these out. In the side view then I'll press Tree and zoom out, and I'll press E and extrude this forward and left click. I can also select the bottom vertices and press S, Z and 0 just to scale them up on the Z axis and just have them flat. I'll press G and Z and just drag them back up a little bit. I want to make room for the sole. So I'll also just maybe press and hold the middle mouse button, come around here and zoom in. So I can connect up some of these vertices. So if I select this vertice here and this one, I can press F to create an edge between it. I'll right click and subdivide that. Maybe select these two here and these two. Press F to fill that up. Select these four here and press F. So now I can alt select this entire edge here. Okay, and with all of these selected then I can maybe press E, right click, I can press S and scale this out a little bit. Press E again, press Z to restrict it to the Z axis. Just drag that down. Now maybe I can press Tree just to come into a side view. Press G, Z, drag that down to the green line here. So it's sitting on the grid floor. I can zoom in. Just make sure that that's pretty accurate. So I'll press G and Z and drag that right down and have that edge sitting right there. Okay, I can zoom back out. I'm going to come back up underneath. Zoom in, press E, right click, scale these in a little bit. Something like this. Press E again and scale it in a little bit more. Maybe S and X just to scale it in on the X axis and left click. Okay, so let's take a look then at just filling up this. So if I select these vertices at the back, I'm going to zoom in just to make sure I'm selecting the correct ones. Pan this over, select this one. So with these four selected, I'll press F. I can select these two here then. Just maybe zoom out to press F and F again. Now we're going to be left with a try at the tip here, so I'll just press G and Z and drag these ones back a little bit. And that's going to be fine. This is not going to be deforming, and that try is not going to affect anything, so I can select that there, press F and fill that in. Okay, I'm going to press and hold the middle mouse button. Maybe zoom in. I could also maybe add in an edge loop here, so Control R, left click and just push that into approximately here. And I'm also going to just Control R, add one in here, okay, and left click, maybe double tap G and just drag that forward a little bit. Just to give us a little bit of extra geometry to maybe have a toe roll on this. So I'm going to come back to the front here. I can select these front vertices. So all of these on the front, and maybe just press G, Y and just drag these forward a little bit just to round that out a little bit more. I'll press Tree then for side view. Okay, that looks pretty good. You can put more detail into that if you wanted. I'd be pretty happy with how it is right now. So I'm going to zoom in here and select this vertice on the shoe, shift select the vertice on the leg, and I'll press Alt M for the merge menu, and I'll choose at last. And I'll repeat the process here. I can select the vertice on the shoe, shift select the vertice on the character, and just shift and R just to repeat the last operation. And I'll repeat the process right the way around on all of these then. Okay, and with those done, I'm going to just come up to the Overlays tab up here. Click the drop down and just switch on face orientation. Just make sure that the faces are facing the correct direction, and that looks good. I can switch off the face orientation. Now there is a little bit of a shading difference between the shoes and the character's body. So I'll press tab, come back to object mode. I can right click and shade smooth, and that updates that. Okay, that was an issue with the hand as well. Now you can leave it shaded smooth, or you can switch it back to shaded flat, whatever is easier to work with. Okay, so that's the character's feet modeled. Okay, but I'm just going to maybe zoom out up here and zoom in towards the eye. So with the character selected, I can tab into edit mode. I can alt select this here. Right now, if you want to make any changes to the shape of this, I would recommend doing it now. I might just scale this on the Z a little bit. Something like this. And I'm going to press Shift S and choose cursor to selected. So that way the cursor is at the center of that edge loop there. And I'm going to tab back to object mode, press Shift A, and in the add menu under mesh, I'll choose a UV sphere. Now that comes in quite large. Over here on the add menu, I'm going to leave the defaults for the segment and the rings as they are. I will click in the radius and just reduce this a little bit. And I can actually press and hold Shift and get smaller increments. Just drag this in and reduce it in size here. So maybe something like this. Okay, I can minimize this. Over here, I'm going to press numpad 3 to come into a side view and just zoom in. And I can just maybe press G and Y and drag this back in the Y axis and just get it into the position I think the eye should be. So maybe somewhere like this. I can also rotate this on the X by 90. So RX90, press enter. And that way when we tab into edit mode, we have the center of vertice pointing straight at us. So I'm just going to come back to object mode. And I'm going to come up to the outliner. Now I'm going to name this object because I want to keep track. So we're going to make an outer eye and an inner eye. And we're going to have a left and a right. So we want to make sure we don't get confused. So I'll double click on this and I'll call this eye outer underscore L. And press enter. Okay, and what I'll do now is just press and hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to position this first before I make duplicates of it. If I'm happy with the position of the eye, I'm going to select the character, tab into edit mode. And with this selected, I can press G and Y, drag this back. What I want to do is cover up the eye. What I can do is just rotate around here and see what vertices need to come back. So these two need to come back and maybe these two here. So with these selected, I can press G, Y and just drag these back here. I can left click, rotate around. So maybe select these individually, just drag them back until they're hidden in the eye. So maybe select these two, press G, Y, drag them back a little bit. Shift select this one, press G and Y. Okay, that wouldn't be too bad. What I probably need to do is maybe alt select all of this and maybe scale this in the X a little bit just so that it closes in. A little bit better. That looks pretty good. Maybe scale it the X again. I'll press 1 for front view, press Z and bring up wireframe. Now I don't want some of these in too far beyond the eye, so I can just alt select it again, maybe come back to solid and maybe scale them on the Z a little bit. Maybe just scale it out a little bit and left click. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate around. And what I'm trying to do is just not have any light there. So I'll scale it in on the X a little bit. Left click. And I can select these individual vertices, press G and X and just drag them in manually. Select this one, G, X. Okay, so I'd be pretty happy with that. Maybe select this one here, drag it back into Y a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's really just get it lined up with the outline there. What we can do then is alt select this rim. So if I press Z, come into wireframe, I have the edge of the eye selected. Over here in the side view, I'll press Z and wireframe. And what I'm going to do is extrude this back. So I'll press E to extrude, just drag it back slightly. Left click. I'm going to come back over here and just switch it back to solid just so I can keep an eye on this. And I'll press E again and drag it back a small bit, and then I'll just scale it up. And I'll press E, drag this back, and maybe scale it down. So we just don't want any light at the back of this, so maybe something like that. I'm going to press and hold the middle mouse button. And what I can do, if I can see these vertices, I can select these four here and just fill that up. Select the next four. and I can fill that one up. And finally select the center 4 vertices and press F and just fill that up. So if I zoom out here, you can see then from over here that it's just an eye socket. Okay, so you're not accidentally going to see in behind the back of the eye. So I'll zoom in here and tab back to object mode. I can zoom out here, just press 3. So with this eye selected, I'll press Shift D to make a copy. I can right click and I'll come over here, double click, and I'll change this then to eye inner underscore L. Press enter. Now I want to make a couple of adjustments to these. So I want to take account of the iris on the inner part of the eye. So let's select the inner first. You can select it up here in the outliner. I'll press the / key a couple of times to isolate this object. Tab into edit mode. You can also come up to view here if the / key doesn't bring you into local view. So you can toggle local view here. So it's numpad /. It can differ depending on your keyboard configuration, but you can toggle that on and off here. So if I click this here, it'll bring me back to global. I can come back up to view, local, and toggle into local. So we're on the inner eye. I want to alt select this, double tap G, just to edge slide this out a little bit. Alt select this one here, double tap G, edge slide this out, left click. What I want to do is just create a slight concave shape on this. So with this vert selected, I'll press O for proportional editing, press G and Y, and I'll roll the mouse wheel down just so it doesn't affect all of the vertices. Drag this back here. Maybe left click. Okay, I'll press A then to select everything. And just over here in the side view, because we're not in local view, we can actually see what's happening here. So I'm going to zoom in. And what I want to do is scale this down a little bit and just have it in beyond the outer eye. Okay, so make sure I come in here a little bit. I'm going to press Ctrl Z because I have proportional editing on. I'm going to press O, switch that off. You can switch this on up here. So I'm just going to set it to off and press S and scale this in and left click. Okay. So now my inner eye is a little bit smaller than the outer, and that's what I want. And I have that concave shape on it. I'll press Alt A just to deselect, and I can maybe Alt select this here and just double tap G. This can represent the pupil, so I might just leave it approximately here. And then this outer region here will be the iris. And we can adjust that when we're texturing the eye, but right now that's going to be good enough. I'm going to tab back to object mode, right click, and just shade that smooth. Okay, and I'm going to press the / key to come back to global. And up here then, I'm going to switch off the visibility of the eye inner. And I'll select the eye outer and I'll press the / key just to isolate it. I'll tab into edit mode, and with this vertice selected, I'll press O for proportional editing. Again, you can switch that on up here, and I'll press G and Y, and I'll roll the mouse wheel a little bit and drag this forward slightly. So I want to have a little bit of a bulge on the front. I can zoom out a little bit over here just to take a look. So that looks pretty good. Just going to press and hold the middle mouse button just to see how that's looking there. Maybe G and Y a little bit more. Okay, I'll be pretty happy. I'm going to tab back to object mode, right click and shade that smooth. And I can press the / key to come back. So I'm going to switch on the visibility of the inner. So we have both of these eyes in the viewport. Okay, and that's really all I'm going to do with these eyes for the moment. So the important thing is just to have them fitting nicely into the head there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out and maybe press 1. What I'm going to do is come over to the modifiers tab and add a mirror modifier to these. I'll press Ctrl A and choose all transforms, and I'll choose the eye inner, add a mirror modifier, and again I'll press Ctrl A and all transforms. So if I hide the outer eye here for a second, we can see that we have 2 inners and then we have 2 eye outers. Okay, so that's the eyes in position, and I'm going to leave it there for this one.